I'm going to open the Wolcott Select Board meeting of September 21st, 2022. We have amendments to the agenda. Linda?
I don't know if the card is considered an
Yeah,
amendment.
I was going to bring it
Okay,
up.
okay.
I wonder if any board members have anything. Here now, Lucian called and said he wanted to come during the comments for the community to. We have a delinquent tax issue that someone might show up for. And an email was sent out regarding Joey, our road crew, getting married this weekend. If we wanted to contribute anything towards a card for his wedding, and need to know what the board's feeling is on that.
I think it'd be up to the individuals.
Okay. So each individual make. Excuse me. The Joey's wedding.
Yeah.
Her feelings is suggesting that each individual contribute individually.
Okay.
Or if a bunch of us want to contribute together, we can. Why don't we discuss that when the meeting's over?
Okay.
All right. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
In a second.
I'll second.
Any additions, corrections, deletions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Comment from the community. We have Bill Morrison was here. I wanted to speak.
Yeah, before I like to pass up these maps to. You know what I'm talking about. There's a star and an arrow indicating a couple of things there. What else can I do?
This to Bill has to give it to Dylan and he'll put it up to for anyone else. Oh, sorry.
See what else? Dylan fixes the roads. So maybe if I read, well, first of all, the Bear Swamp is recognized by the town in the town of Wolcott 2018 municipal development plan. It talks about environmentally sensitive areas, wildlife resources, in a couple of paragraphs, and then specifically about Bear Swamp. The Bear Swamp is described here as 300 acres and almost 2 miles long, contains large stands of typical boreal forests, balsam fir, black and red spruce, and excuse me, northern larch. Understory of the swamp contains northern flora such as Labrador tea, blueberry, bunchberry, over 50 species of ferns and fern allies. Bear Swamp provides important habitat for a wide variety of breeding birds, supports near climax vegetation. That's sort of old growth forest, really. Some of it isn't really forest, it's
Yeah, I'll get it.
yeah, that might help. Much of the area
That's all of us.
Much of the area is presently owned by the Center for Northern Studies. Now, that's incorrect. That's changed.
Yeah.
It's owned by Sterling College. It appears to be safe from development pressures indefinitely. Some portions of the swamp remain in private ownership and should be protected to ensure. Yeah, thank you very much. Lubrication. Some portions of the swamp remain in private ownership and should be protected to ensure the entire natural area remains safe from development or mismanagement. Okay, and I had learned that a 10-acre lot, which is indicated on the map I passed out by a star, black star, had been essentially taken over by the town. I don't know the legal aspects.
I think it's 9 acres, though, 9 acres,
It's 9 acres.
and we received it in a tax sale.
Excuse me?
Yes, 9 acres, and we received it in a tax sale. It is now ours.
Okay. The reason for the map is to show how, if you drive along Easter Road indicated by the black arrow, you come to the culvert, which is reconstructed just a few years ago. When you stop at the culvert, you are in the middle of Bear Swamp. There's the downstream part and the upstream part. The upstream part is owned by private owners. I believe it's Reeve and Ryan in there. And that plot, parcel indicated by the star, if that were in private hands and were developed, and if passage by the public were restricted, that cuts off this thing called Bear Swamp from public access. And when you look at the site, it's got a driveway, and farther in is this cleared little area. I've actually walked in there and seen the photographs as well. It has the look of a public access place. Like you see in many I don't know, parks, public area, natural areas preserved, often in public hands. So when you're at the culvert, you're in a spot that is really a corridor for wildlife as well. And I don't know if that were in private hands and were developed, again, that would impact that as a corridor for wildlife. Well, that's my main point. What does the town, my question that I asked of the select board was, what do you plan to do with it?
I don't think we've really discussed what we wanted to do with it. As you're talking, my brain is kind of moving, and this is just me talking, not the board talking. I'm thinking, well, we wanted to at least get the money back that we spent to have to clean it up. We had to hire someone to go in there. So I was thinking, well, if we did agree with you and you wanted to conserve it, if we got a conservation easement on it, do you get money? Could the town get any money? Could we get a few $1,000s for that? Is that how conservation easements work? Do you know? my brain is just thinking.
Well, I think if a private owner offers
But we own it.
some
Yeah.
land
Yeah,
to an agent, to like Northern Rivers Land
Right.
Trust or
right,
the statewide one,
right.
they actually have to pay to do that, so. If I'm not
No,
mistaken.
they don't give the landowner any money? Oh,
They do give the landowner money
Do they?
if there's conservation value.
Well,
Yeah, but they're providing a service to the landowner that would be in perpetual,
right.
protection of maintaining this easement. So do they feel that there's value to maintain that easement? Sometimes there is in their eyes, sometimes there isn't. But, if the town's incurred the cost here, that's definitely a consideration. Yeah.
Do anyone know off the top of our head how much we incurred?
Well, I believe the tear down and the cleanup there was, Linda, maybe you remember,
Pretty close to 34
3,500.
somewhere.
Now, we also have to go through,
The
Wait a-
lawyer and everything, we're talking another 4 or 5 grand.
yeah, we had to go through quite a bit of legal activity to evict the tenant there. And so, yeah, we probably are into it close to 6 to 8 grand, something like that.
So if the town were to sell it, their objective would be to clear those expenses.
Yeah, yeah.
And my main idea was that should be public access, but yet who am I to propose public access to a piece of land that,
That's what I was
isn't
thinking.
the public land? I'm talking
Yeah.
negatively.
It's Sterling College's land, isn't it?
But as somebody pointed out to me, one of the several ornithologists who are very fond of Bear Swamp and who have done studies in there, said a place like that needs a constituency, a group that uses it. And we'd like to see it protected. And in fact, it may include hunters. This is not a place that as far as I know, it's not posted. But it's not locked up,
No.
for just, nature preservation. It's
Yeah, there's quite a few people who run dogs through it, private things like that.
what I'm saying, it's a real, the swamp is a real asset to the town. And I view it more highly than I do the down forest. Because, I don't know.
Different interests.
Yeah, in fact, I own almost 300 acres myself, and I can spend
Right.
lots of time walking around on my ever weakening knees, the legs weakening knees. But anyhow, so I don't really have a selfish interest in it, other than I think it would be a tragedy if that particular spot were, sort of locked up and dried in hands again.
Do you have other people, are you here in support of
Yeah, I'm
this?
definitely here in support of that. I know about the swamp. I know about that particular area. In fact, right on Eddie's line in 20 years ago, I recorded a three-toed blackback woodpecker, which is, it's kind of cool to some people. And it's like the only place definitely all of Vermont that exists. The depositional soils there, it's a really deep well. It would perk, I'm sure, but it also makes a really nice parking area to access. And it's a boreal biome that we have within the middle of the temperate region. That's why it's so special. And that's what the Center for Northern Studies is all about.
Right.
That was my connection to it. I went there a long time ago. And it's also part of the legacy of the town, because John and Eleanor Young in 76, after Phil Rich surveyed it, he was in the tree business, and they said, this is a really special area. And we want to keep it that way, so they sold the rights to the Nature Conservancy. Sterling just realized that. And there used to be an access, and it used to be the Center for Northern Studies, which is now in private hands. It's no longer so. And one of the special things about Eddie's lot is it's handicap access. It's really, you could come in there with a wheelchair and with your van, and you could go up, and you could, listen to the timberdoodles go, do their thing and look out over a fan, a bog. It's pretty cool. Yeah, or, bad knees or whatever. It's just really easy to get in there. And it'd be a shame to see that chopped up because, yeah, I mean, we're developing so fast throughout the state. It's just nuts right now.
Couldn't this be added to the town forest project as a satellite unit?
I have no idea.
And your costs covered by a little money from that project? I thought.
If there was a fundraising effort done, spearheaded, I would assume that money would be generated rapidly. There's just such a legacy behind this area. There's any number, there's PhD theses after PhD theses on the flora and fauna in there. It's just, there's it's a popular place for people to rabbit hunt, generations, they have no way to access it now. There's, I guess, sort of maybe off Town Hill, but that's a little convoluted there.
On my map,
not too easy to get in that way.
I wasn't able to get that frontage of this Sterling property on the map. It's cut off, as you see, for the margin there, and
that gets in. So
I don't think there's any road, any obvious path starting at the roadside.
No, there's not. So Eddie's lot goes right into the upland part of the swamp. So it's like upland, not, by definition wetland. It's just, so you can walk right in there easier. You're not getting soaked. You're in max succession forest. It's really nice. It's gorgeous in there. You see stuff that you don't see anywhere else. Yeah.
So the access that I know about, for people who are used to visiting Bear Swamp, is through the former property of the Center for Northern Studies, which is now owned by Chad Roy.
Right, I used to work at the Center for Northern
And
Studies.
he generally gives permission to, in fact, park in his yard there. He's got parking. And then you head down as far as Tamarack Brook, and you're in the sort of quaking bog sort of area where the ground feels as though it's, bouncing up and down under your feet. And that's the only access that I've ever heard of. Now, I have heard from somebody that you can access Bear Swamp through the property of the University of Vermont, experimental forest over there.
So I'm gonna suggest that, I don't think that we as a board have made any decision on what we wanna do with it. We would like to recoup some money for the taxpayers. I would suggest that you speak with the neighbors around there to find out, more support for this idea. And seeing as one of them, is a member of that conservation board, maybe just kind of. Steve?
What board?
Steve? Yeah,
Yeah, I've spoken with Steve about this. He says, yes, that parcel should be
but
conserved.
they
He
have-
said he didn't have a ready idea of how to do that.
so I just wondered if his board had any interest in conserving that.
You know what that board is?
Northern Rivers.
Oh,
Not Northern
but
Rivers.
Northern Rivers Land Trust.
Yeah,
Yeah, they put easements on.
right, and he's a member.
Yeah,
Board
right.
member.
Yeah.
Maybe a conversation with Steve, get some more support, see if,
Well, Gordon Young was interested as well. In fact, there's another property that I believe might have just sold. It was under contract. It starts out on, Cross
Yeah, but
Road.
we don't have any control on that.
Yeah, and there's a narrow neck, you can see it on a map, there's a narrow neck, and then there's a large L-shaped piece, part of which the toe of the L straddles the swamp at the Tamarack Road, so. That looks like a piece that somebody should just come and donate to this group.
So I'm gonna move on because we have a lot of people here tonight to talk, but I invite you to come back in a few weeks and see some more support, show us some more support and stuff, bring us some more information.
Yeah, I contacted Sterling College, the acting head of the president of Sterling College by email. I haven't gotten back. She hasn't gotten back. And also the head of the Nature Conservancy. And she hasn't gotten back either.
And they might wanna add that on, if they already have an easement on that property, they might be willing to add it on. It doesn't hurt, you have to ask,
Well,
all they can say is no.
We can also say that, since it's been cleared out, it has been roped off, I believe. There's a cable up there now.
yes.
Because that was becoming a parking spot for kids. So we just broke that off. But other than that, the property cannot be sold to anybody without the town's permission, the voting public's permission to do so. So I think that what Linda's saying is, and I agree, is to speak to the neighbors there. I can tell you several have approached the town, asking the same question, what are we doing with it? And some of them, would like to purchase it for the purpose of conserving it. So I think that there's a pretty robust group out there that cares about this piece of property. But, well, I guess my point is between now and March, nothing's gonna happen. Other than, gaining support and having it as an article at town meeting.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to us, Bill.
All right. I don't have any real selfish interest in it. It's just, I just think it would be a shame that we're not doing what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Public access. So,
Private ownership with a conservation easement, non-public access. That's, not, if I was in the butter, I'd want to land.
Yeah, and those would be the butters that are expressing that.
Sure.
I can tell you the mosquitoes are rough in there.
Yeah. Yep, well, that's what it works like.
well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Of the table, motion.
Oh, excuse me. The guardrails won't be here in the barriers until Monday, just to give everybody a heads up. The road, everything is ready, it just, won't have the guardrails until Monday, the quickest you can get them. There's been seeding topsoil in place. Patrick Ross, who is the environmental engineer, come today and give us a clean bill of health. He had a couple of little things down and got out of the way. So, I don't know what the board's pleasure on opening the road this weekend or waiting until Monday after the guardrails and stuff.
Oh, I would think the guardrails should go in myself.
I do too, but I know everybody's been calling and complaining about, but
Yeah, it's.
I think it's the right thing to do personally, is to wait until Monday and get they're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's all I can tell you. on
And
that.
the other items, you know, we talked about the railing and culvert, et cetera. I don't know, I haven't received anything from Joe.
Well, it's GNN that's supposed to be doing this. I've had multiple conversations with Joey,
Oh, okay.
on this, well, because he was confused. And because I CC'd him to the email, to Kimberly, and, he was, I think a lot of people are confused, so, we don't get the money, we only get what we spend. And we have to stay, I was looking for it here, we have to stay within our, scope. And if we want to do anything else, we have to get FEMA, so they're setting up a meeting with FEMA to get the okay, that's where we are. And
That's
so
gonna
there's,
happen Tuesday, right?
there's plan A and there's plan B. Plan A is FEMA will say yes, and we can put it in, plan B is we'll just have to pay for it ourselves.
So today I had the boys at the end of that culvert that's coming out down the road. We just cut a little swale, let it go into a retaining wall or a rock, and we stoned it. It's kind of a temporary fix, but
Yeah.
at least it won't wash out the road, and it's something that will work. Hopefully that FEMA comes through.
Yeah, or the town has to pay. Is that what you're saying?
If FEMA doesn't agree,
Yeah.
Joey's zooming with him on Tuesday, has a meeting. He's the one that understands it best, and, if they don't agree, then we pay for it.
How much is it?
Well, we haven't got the paperwork, we don't know how much. He figured 3,000 for that fence, but I don't know about the other part, the moving that culvert.
That was either $5 or $6 grand, I think.
To move that little culvert in their driveway?
Well, we're putting in a catch basin and everything else, upsizing the pipe to meet the town code. It's 60, I bet that there's 60 feet of pipe. I bet that pipe is like 3 or 4 grand just to buy it right now.
Is it their driveway culvert that comes down, or is it water coming off the hill?
Water, it's follow the road down through.
So,
They should be.
no Wednesday, isn't that when the other thing, they should know Tuesday afternoon,
Yes,
but I don't know, I haven't seen anything.
this is gonna be on the internet, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I talked to Joey late this afternoon, I don't know, around 3 o'clock, I guess it was. And he says he's got everything ready, he's gonna be ready for Tuesday. So, leave the road closed until Monday when we get guardrails. One of the other things too is that, are we gonna have a ribbon cutting thing? Call the newspaper and. Or not?
Up to you. I can't guarantee 100% I can be there. Being in Hyde Park, but. You guys can go.
It'll be kind of nice, I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody. Somebody out like Kurt or any.
Yeah.
One of these guys can make it, it'd be kind of cool. I think, call the newspaper and,
Get the neighbors.
Is that
Yeah.
will be Monday, next Monday?
No,
no, we don't have to do it that day, I mean, we can do it some other day, pick a
We
date.
can do it as select board meeting.
no, we have to do it there.
Well, then we're meeting, we all go up.
Yeah.
Come on, work for it.
I'm not going.
Hey, see what other board wants.
I think it's fine. Are you looking for the board to contact the paper?
Well, we don't know the date yet.
No, I can do
I just
that.
wanted to know if it was if you had any interest.
And the other thing too is I will call the sheriff department when we open the road for 911. You send an email to the school, you want me
I
to?
called the school and I also called the ambulance, I think. No, the fire department. I called the school and the fire department.
Okay,
So actually it's calling Cat, a Wildcat, to the bus company.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
I think he was talking here.
he left me this wrong. I think the contractor did a good job. He had his up and down, we had, what, 4 or 5 days that he couldn't work because of high water. And then he had a week delay on the box coming in, so, but in all, I think they did a really good job. I wouldn't be afraid to use them again for town business.
Good.
That's all I got, unless somebody else got something for me.
That's great. Just let us know when you're gonna, when the guardrails are up. Let us know when you're gonna celebrate.
Okay.
Knock a bottle of champagne. in there.
Linda said she bring the champagne to bring.
I did say that. I did.
Oh, the one other thing is that Ron asked me to do, but it's not a big deal, I just gotta get, he wants me to write inside the box. The year and month that we put it in, and who the contractor was, and who the engineer was.
Good idea.
We got it, there's a flat on the side that says what year it was made, but that's all it says. I thought it was gonna say a little more than that. And, I don't know if you want me to do it or not, but somebody should get a hold of, Rob Moore and tell him that that's been updated, so you put that in his records too. And I don't know if they,
Well, Dylan should be doing that.
okay. And I don't know if there were, if that's, I think it's classified in bridge now, not a culvert. It's over 20 feet wide, I believe that's what the state is. So I can have to do that. That needs to be done too.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alicia, for doing
So how much longer after the culverts go in on Wednesday, do you think? A few more days?
I'm sorry.
The guardrails.
Yeah. Sorry, after the guardrails go in on Wednesday, how many more days do you think it'll be?
Once the guardrail, that's the last thing we gotta do is put them guardrails.
So then it'll be ready to be open.
Yeah.
So if you do that Monday, it'll be ready Tuesday or Wednesday?
Let's just say Wednesday in case something happens, but it should be open, ready to open Wednesday.
Okay. Great.
Maybe we'll go on the radio and let them know.
Yeah, actually, you know what, I do call them, and they do make a public announcement for you. And they don't charge you for that.
Thank you. Corey. Come up and present.
I'm Corey, here to ask for a extension on my taxes. I've had some health problems over the last summer, and that wasn't able to work from smoothly as I catch up the last month, pretty hard. And we had the money. Her car completely died, we buy a new car. I was able to get in half the tax, a little more than half the taxes. I was hoping to pay it off by the next paycheck on the 1st, which I still can. I think my next paycheck was interest in the military, just paid first and 15th. I would like to go a week after that now because I wasn't able to work this week because my job didn't, I work with my old man and he shut us down this week because he's pond. So he's fixing the pollen that he just spent how money, but yeah. But I would, minimum, I like, first, I'd like to have the next Friday after that. Just like, have some money to buy food. That's what I'm asking.
So I show a balance of $937.55. And you'd like to pay it on the second week of October,
The second Friday of October.
seventh?
I mean, I can come in and give that, half of that on the first. Do it 2 payments. I mean,
Well, the first is on Saturday.
so I come in the next month. He gets out direct deposit on the 1st and 15th. So.
So you have some dogs as well, right? That are-
Yes, I was planning on coming in with the Jane thing. I got all the paperwork and
I was just curious, has the rabies,
yeah, they're all done.
that's taken care
I
of?
got it all taken care of. I was gonna bring it in like next week. I have some memory issues.
Yeah.
That I acquired throughout life. And I have a horrible short-term memory. So unless I see something in front of me,
Mhm.
it's gone.
Yeah,
I have to keep everything in front of me and I'll remember it. And then forget it. I'll remember it and forget it.
yeah,
But I have all the pictures. All the paper right now is on my desk at the house. And ready to be paid now. Plan on bringing it all in
okay, yeah.
with this attachment.
Well, so have you already turned in the rabies certificate?
No,
Or that's what you're talking
There
about?
with, yeah.
Okay. I think that should be considered as well.
So you're suggesting that that you're willing to pay $468.77 on October 3rd, that's a Monday. And the balance, of $468.78 on October 10th, a Monday. And when are you bringing your dogs in?
I will pay that the first one
Okay,
on Monday. When I come in and pay that one, I'll pay that one. That one is literally just me having no memory of forgetting to it.
so how does the board feel about that?
Is there going to be interest accumulated?
Well, interest was, placed on this on the 9th.
Yeah, it should have been the 19th.
The 19th, right, so there won't be any more interest until 10/19 or 10/15. So he's been getting the interest,
It's already applied.
and it's only once a month, and so it's applied for September, and there won't be any. If he follows through on his commitment, there won't be any more interest.
I agree to it.
Okay, do you want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we allow Corey to pay half October 3rd and this last remaining on October 10th, plus the dog fees.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on to our correspondence. We heard from Mr. Morrison. We have the town hill, problem with garbage again. On Town Hill Road, complaint from Jennifer Clapp. I've been thinking about this. I'm debating whether I should, contact a family member and suggest that they get Casella for this home.
Yeah. So there's a fair amount, this particular problem has been
Yeah,
pretty consistent. And also there's been reports from Crossroad of garbage that when looking through the garbage, it all goes back to this house, same person. The sheriff was up and found another bag of garbage, and according to the police report, there was an $800 fine.
right.
So financially, they're not, this is a tough thing, but I would love to get Casella up there.
And the family center helped her last time, so I don't think she can go there again.
Family center.
Last time helped her. With the one that the stuff that was in the boat. From before.
The stuff that was in the boat, yeah. Given our other experience, and I personally don't have any appetite for having the transfer station try to
Right.
manage it. Did you say a family member or?
Yes.
Family center?
Family member.
Okay. I think that's best
That's all I could think of.
we can do at this point. Yeah. Finding
No, that's not gonna happen.
not gonna work at all.
So I have a driveway curb cut permit for Katie Ann Ledbetter. I'll pass it around so you can look at the diagram. She lives on the crossroad. She wants to change her driveway a little closer to the line of her property when you come off Town Hill versus at the other end of her property.
Is this the first crossroad or second?
The first. It's right across from Chad Roy, who lives in the Center for Northern Studies.
Which is a little closer.
Well, you look at that, we'll come back to that, moving along quickly here. 2023 Municipal Highway and Stormwater Mitigation Projects Grant Program is out. I don't know, does anyone have any, did you have any thoughts on that?
It's been sent, you know, and I haven't sat down with one yet to see if he has any projects that could go in
Okay, just to let you know it's here. Gulf Road speed study, Mr. McGrath asked that this be put into the record, his female. Basically, you all got a copy of it. It gives history and so forth, and
My question was, is it added onto the minutes as an attachment when it's posted on the website?
no.
No, okay.
The bottom line is that your board voted to rescind the 10-year-old road safety rating based on it not showing in meeting minutes, etc. No, that's not what I want to say. Here it says, I request that you revisit your decision not to pursue changing the speed limit to 25 miles per hour. In the meantime, please send me the contract you spoke to. LCPC engineering firms and local roads as listed, which I have done. Is he asking for anything? Other than, I thought he was asking for us to reconsider.
That's what it is.
So he's asking us to reconsider our previous vote.
So he wants us to change it, so the whole road is 25 miles an hour. Instead of
I
that one
think-
section.
I think one of the issues is we don't really know exactly. My feeling is that we did the research, we responded to the complaint, and we made a decision. And it gets a little bit tit for tat, and my personal feeling is the board should stick with this decision.
If we were to pursue the 25 mile per hour speed limit, I do not see what it would accomplish on the flats. And I do not see the police up there monitoring the speed limit all the time to keep that down.
No. No, so I think what the underlying request is enforcement. And that's tough.
The only way to do it would be like Texas. You just put a device out there, you go speeding by, it takes a picture, send them a fine.
Yeah.
It's the only way you can do it. And that's not cheap.
No.
So do we need a motion not to rescind our previous vote?
No, I'll make it.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. I received something from Comcast. Community outreach is just, I don't know. Talking about the different programs they have. They actually say that they're working in Wolcott. Well, I don't know where that is. So have you had a chance to look at that permit?
Yeah, it's right there.
So do we have any problems with that?
Yeah.
No
Thanks,
problems?
No problem.
Okay, let's make a motion to accept her. permit.
I'll make a motion to accept Katie Ledbetter's driveway permit.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Is Jim Roberts on? Yes, iPad 6.
So I have to go get him now. Hold, please. He'll be right here.
Hello,
Jim,
yes,
sorry we're late. We had a lot of comments from the community this evening.
yeah, I saw that. So you had some questions about, do I need to go into a complete overview of what we have here as far as the composting toilet situation?
Well, basically, we understand that the planning commission, with the recommendation of the regional planning commission, suggested we have a composting toilet. I think one of the problems we see is where is this gonna be and who's gonna maintain it? Or what kind of maintenance is there? So we had a discussion at the event and you were going to maybe come and offer some more information for us.
Sure. So as far as maintenance goes on it, apparently occasionally, but from the sounds of it, with Seth's experience with a similar system that's up at Barnes Camp and I don't know if it's Stowe or wherever,
Mhm.
I think they only have had to pump it out once every 4 years. So it's not something that's like super high maintenance as far as that goes. The only problem is when they pump it out, it actually has to go to Coventry to be landfilled. For whatever reason, the state won't let you spread it on fields the way a lot of other septic effluent is, or brought to a sewage treatment facility. So when it does need to be dealt with like that, it is more expensive. As far as maintenance, ongoing maintenance goes, from what I understand, apparently every time the toilet paper roll is changed, somebody has to dump like a gallon of sawdust down the hole. And then occasionally, depending on the amount of use, somebody has to rake off what accumulates directly underneath the toilet to rake it so it doesn't build up to the toilet. There's quite a lot of space in it, but it does have to be manually moved. And there's like an access, you just reach in with a rake and pull it to the side. So the siting of it, yes, that's kind of an issue. Like the planning commission really isn't aware of exactly what the town owns and what the boundary lines of the town property are. The most obvious place to put it is at the trailhead, like in the pavilion area. Bearing in mind, I don't know what the water table is there. A hole has to be dug approximately 5 feet deep for it, and it cannot be in the water table. The other thing that we kind of ran into, Seth had kind of led us to believe, and I mean, I don't know if that's what he ran into a few years ago, but a basically turnkey operation where we just tell them you put it here and they do everything and hand us the keys or whatever at the end of the day, we were led to believe it would be about 25,000. Well, it actually turns out it's 75,000. For 30,000, they'll sell us the basically the parts minus the building for the containment system and the toilet and the fans and the venting and whatnot. So you get that for about 30,000, but then you've got to produce a building. When I emailed Seth that, he basically asked me if it would be in our interest more to consult with the engineer who's working on the town sewer system, that might be more of an option. I don't know. He's still got to have a building. There's still going to be maintenance to it. And then you've kind of got the issue of water freezing. So the nice thing about the composting toilet was there was no water in there. There would just be hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and everything else doesn't really matter if it freezes.
So you were saying that another option Seth was looking at was connecting to our existing septic system?
No, he was actually referring more to the engineering that's going on right now for the community septic. I mean, it's not really a sewage treatment plant, it's more of a community septic, right? That was
right.
So yes, something like that. I don't know if how this grant is supposed to be. I mean, is it supposed to be spent in the next year? And when is this community septic actually going to happen? I have no idea. As far as the grant goes, I still haven't heard anything about any finalization of it as to the actual final details on it, which were supposed to come out in August.
Would this track water?
I would think, wouldn't it be cheaper in the long run if, say, in 5 or 6 years, they get the septic, community septic in? Would it be cheaper in that 5 years just to get a portable and a pump pad? If you're gonna do that,
Like what we do at the transfer station? Which is
yes.
about 135 a month, just one.
So it says this, originally it said that, August was the announcement of this grant, and October is when applications will start going in. That's what I have.
Right. But it also stated, when that came out, that was probably July that came out, and they were saying at that time that the details were going to be finalized in August. And as of September of our planning commission meeting in September, Lamoille County Planning Commission didn't know anything about any details yet.
And there's a 20% local match.
Well, that's not surprising. So some of the members of the planning commission felt that, the towns, some people anyway in the town would be up to volunteering to actually put a building up. So one of the things that I got from the company, Clivis New England, was actually basically a blueprint from the state. The state has a couple of these buildings that they've put up. Like I think there's one at Groton State Park where they actually did that exact thing, where they got the materials from Clivis, but then they put their own building on it. And, by looking at the print, it didn't look like anything particularly complicated.
Does the select board have the final say?
What's that, Linda?
Does the select board have the final say?
Well, I would imagine they do.
Our share would be $15,000.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead.
So that would be the 20% of the 75,000.
Right.
So, yeah, we're not really all that enthusiastic about paying 75,000 for an outhouse, but that is certainly up to the town. And I know Seth, when we were originally talking to him, was kind of recommending an amount, because there's $1 million in this LVRT grant, but there's also like 52 towns that are eligible to apply for it.
I think,
Oh, go ahead.
this is Kurt Billings, Jim. I think the biggest problem you're gonna find out over here is the water table.
Yep.
If you dig down probably 2 feet, it's gonna fill.
Yes, I very much suspected that myself. So it would have to be, if you dig down, you would have to have a place to drain it to. And I'm not sure that exists. Because it has to be on the town property, or you've got to start getting easements from neighbors.
And if you go into the town property and you start digging, the brownfield study says you shouldn't do it.
Really? Okay.
Because it used to be the railroad and they used to dump the coal and ash.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
we gotta leave it alone.
Yes, I forgot about that. And yes, that parking area is sealed off, and we cannot dig.
None of
into
that
it.
area.
Right.
Period.
It's actually recorded in the land records. saying so.
Okay. Are there any other sites in the area within, range of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail that could be a site?
Not that the town owns.
No, yeah,
Not at this time, no.
Okay,
I'm just, feeling this isn't the right thing at this point. You don't have the land. We don't have the land for it. It seems like if we do have the wastewater, which might be a few more years, but something could be developed at that time using that system. Belinda brought up the idea of renting portalets if we found, we needed to for a while. Or occasionally, like maybe just in the summer, a few summer months.
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe,
That'd be $650 for 5 months, to just rent a portalet there if,
A lot cheaper.
people wanted to use it, normally they could come into the library, the town office.
uh-huh,
That's how I'm leaning anyway.
that's certainly my feeling about it. Like I said, $75,000 for basically a glorified portalet is kind of outrageous, to tell you the truth,
Mhm.
compared to just, the portalet. We could certainly apply for a grant to cover the cost of the portalets for a number of years.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's true.
We could get a pair of portalets for that matter for, and not even come close to the.
It hurts.
And I still have the concern of maintenance, even if, it's not quite as often as, we had thought. I mean, we can't even find somebody to take the town trash up. I think it's a burden on the town that we're likely to fail.
Oh, I agree with you absolutely. When he was starting to talk about how this thing worked, and it was like, what, you mean it for this kind of money, you don't even get a crank handle? You gotta open this thing up and like stick a rake in there?
A portalet they would clean weekly for us.
Okay, I just wanted to, I don't know if there's anyone else have any comments with you. I just wanted to discuss this with you before you went too much further, so you kind of knew how we felt.
Okay, yep, no, I mean, that's, we really were kind of leaning in that direction anyway.
It'd be great if you come up with another idea. I mean, there's all this money there, but I don't know exactly what.
There is, so we'll run it by Seth again with our next meeting here, see if we come up with any other sort of ideas. Also, certain members on the planning commission, myself included, we, kind of sick of studies about different things. Because there's
Right.
we can always apply for a study, but we were hoping to actually get something that would, be physically present and usable, but.
What about a warming hut?
Well, one of the things at some point I was looking at was about when the bridge is done in 2025 is making some real, not sidewalks that stick up, but sidewalks for people to walk and ride their bike from the village. And we had that Kate woman from LCPC 2 summers ago come in, and she kind of briefly outlined how you would make the lanes, the driving lanes smaller, And so people would have to drive slower, but you would then make a colored lane for bicycles and people to walk on. Walk.
So that actually was probably the first idea that we talked about
Mhm.
before Seth brought up the idea, that, when he was in a meeting with these people that have something to do with the grant, that the only thing that really grabbed their attention was toilet facilities in Wolcott. That's not to say that, so basically, Seth was also talking about, yes, painting lines on the pavement to reduce the perceived areas that the automobiles would drive on.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay,
Keep in touch with us.
absolutely.
Night. Project managers report.
Yeah, so just briefly, the first item is a request from the schoolhouse committee to approach the board for permission to move forward with an engineer. As you know, we've had the architect review. The next step is an engineering review with the primary goal of understanding what the first steps need to be in shoring up the building and preventing further erosion with the building. We don't have, unless he's gotten back to you, we don't have the dollar amount yet. And the other kind of sticky matter on this is the three of us sitting here are on the committee, but you'll know how it is.
Right. Well, I didn't see how we could not vote for it. We'll never have a quorum.
Right.
I did discover, I gave the wrong figure and I verified with that with Belinda. So we have $5,507.68. I would say we have $5,000 put towards it because you never know what kind of incidentals you might want.
Right. Right.
And how much does usually an engineer cost?
Originally, we heard 6,000, but I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, and LCPC is working on getting that number and some recommendations of who we can contact. But the schoolhouse committee feels that this is a very important next step. It doesn't get, it's not restoring the building. It is trying to save the building from further destruction, another winter.
So the engineer would tell you what's gonna give first.
Yeah, that's what that's exactly.
Right, and how to proceed. We have the assessment, and we can't really go to donors, and there's going to be sometime, hopefully in October, not a donor, grant. People who would be invited to, we would be writing grants for, what did you call them?
Yeah, grant, so
Yeah.
the grant.
Like USDA, historic preservation. So Sal is calling, trying to get all these people together to come here one day and look at the building so they could see it and see what they could offer in terms of grants. But until we will look like fools if we don't know what our next step is or what we're going to be asking for. So we need to kind of have this next step in the engineering to know, do we need to put a new roof on right away? Do we need to fix the foundation? What is it that, the progression of how we need to repair this building.
Does most of the grants need a match, a 50-50?
It's not necessarily 50-50, but there are matches, yeah.
And we should not anticipate that we will be getting all funding for repairs through grants.
Right. And the way we understand the grants work is that it's not a single grant, it is multiple grants that specialize in different areas. So there's a fair amount of management in this.
We need to make sure that we're not doing something detrimental
To somebody else.
another grant. And that's why they're coming together. Another thing they are suggesting is that we set up a trust, community trust for that building. We haven't reached that point, but like the Elmore store, Albany store, you know, Callis store. They're all in community trust, and the town like leases the building to this group of people to move forward. It's a nonprofit.
So it wouldn't be town money, it would be its own entity.
Right.
But for what this meeting, what the request is for the select board to authorize moving forward in retaining an engineer. And I don't know how to vote on that.
Well, I would vote on it with, you know, put a cap. No more than a certain cap, and then have to come back to us, but a cap of
Well,
what the cost is, because we have not, we reached out and we did not get a cost, an estimate of what that was.
you're just authorizing the spending of hiring one, because you have the $5 grand in there. It's not like moving money or creating money.
And we don't have enough.
Right. But maybe you say $5 grand, and then if it comes in at more, then the board can revisit it.
If they say no.
Yeah.
No, I think we need to set a cap.
Doesn't the schoolhouse committee have some funds?
Yes, we do. We have 5,000.
So we have 5,000, they have 5,000.
No, it was that we had, yeah, we had 5,000 from the schoolhouse committee to put towards it, but it's not enough. And we don't know what it is. It could be an additional 1,000, it could be additional 3,000. We, at this point, we don't know.
5,000.
Yeah,
There's another way of looking at it. It's a town building. And you have a town building maintenance account that they put money in from fund balance.
Yeah.
And it would, you're only talking 1,000.
How much is in that account now?
Linda has the totals. It was 36, I think, before.
well, we have a lot designated for
Yeah.
past maintenance that wasn't done. So if we were to do this, it would have, there's no money sitting around in our budget, for this, so I would recommend that. We set a level, a top for how much we'll pay for the engineer, and the money would come out of the ARPA funds. Because we do not have any money just sitting in the budget.
So what would you cap it at? We're gonna have to guess it. No other way to do it. We got,
Now, if you're able to use ARPA funds, you could set it at 3,500, then whatever the extra is going to be, take it from your ARPA funds.
3,500.
3,500. You got 5,000 in there. I think I'd leave a little bit there. I wouldn't take the whole amount.
He's suggesting just use 3,500 out of our
Right. so
fund
that's-
balance.
Oh, okay.
I can't imagine it'd be more than 10,000. You?
No.
Well, the next payment from the counties is going to be here by October 15th of the ARPA loans.
We have plenty of money.
Yeah.
So, just to make things easier with all the figures, I'm gonna make a motion that the select board approve the schoolhouse committee hiring an engineer for up to $10,000, using $3,500 of the assigned fund balance, and the balance coming out of ARPA funds. And if it goes over 10,000, it will be brought back to the board. That's my motion.
No, I'll second that.
Do we have any other comments or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay.
Okay, so next thing is the plow truck contract. The truck is at Viking now. We ordered this truck 15 months ago. And it's at Viking now. And we have been approved by the bank for financing. The only caveat is that the rate expiration date is 10/8, October 8th. And we don't expect delivery until maybe the 20th. Which puts us in a position, typically you would release funds to the vendor upon delivery and acceptance. In this case, if we were to do that, the interest rate would go up, and after today, it would probably go up substantially. The rate increases today were pretty heavy. So in talking with the bank, it's not unusual for the customer to sign off on it before delivery, but I want to bring it before the board. So it would be an electronic sign off, just like we did on the excavator. So that's where we're at. The first payment would be in September 2023.
And I'll give you a receipt and everything once we can get the money, so.
Yes.
You. Okay.
So we just pay for it and do everything up front, and then we'll get the truck on the 20th.
We signed the paperwork. And but by us signing the paperwork, the money goes to the Legion's trucks. So that part of the deal is done. We just don't physically.
Do we need to do a motion on that, or you guys can do it next meeting?
But we have to be not only to next meeting. So yeah, I will go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and sign the bank contract prior to 10/8.
So that we can keep the lower interest rate.
And what is that interest rate?
4.15, is that the rate?
And did the Fed just go up what?
Another 3/4 points.
Yeah, we got it.
So
There a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so carried.
Okay, this year, the assessor project, it was just an FYI. I think some of the key players are on vacation for this, but we haven't had a follow-up meeting with our neighboring towns yet. Mapping with CAI, got a report from Franco, which states the conversion is done and we're in the stages of development for the Access GIS site. The analyst will likely reach out in the next couple of weeks for additional extracts they will need. I'll also be reaching out to the listers to acquire information we need for updating maps to April 1st. So moving, it's moving about the schedule they identified. Last point is river cleanup reimbursement. I think Andy came by and got the invoice.
He did.
He didn't actually have the money, so he took it over to.
Joyce at Solid Waste District.
Yeah, so we'll get a check from the waste district. But that has all been approved, but there's just an FYI because these things slip around. Okay, and that's all I got.
Okay, handyman position.
All right, the handyman position. I'm just wanna, I kind of put together my thoughts on this. I've had an opportunity to talk to Nathan about the opportunity. And so if I could just read quickly here. So I had a conversation with Nathan about the job. Over the past many months, there have been countless situations where there have been a need for maintenance, much of which I believe has been results of years in which routine maintenance did not occur for one reason or another. When the need arises, it has either been taken months to resolve or we have had to do spot repairs that are temporary. As much as I support volunteers, they're not always qualified and difficult to manage to a time. As a retired person might seem ideal for the job, it is often the case that the job requires a younger person, ladder climber, roof walking individual who can handle heavy materials. I expect that any snow plowing bids will be higher this year than in the past. And with the use of a one-ton truck, I expect we will save and always be in a position to respond. In addition to plowing town properties, this position can aid the road crew in managing big storms during intersection cleanup. Another advantage is location, with Nathan being right in town. The difficulty with a younger part-time person is that they typically will have another job. And so the ad hoc approach that we're accustomed to will not work. So I would like to propose scheduled hours, which would amount to 2 days a week in which jobs can be scheduled. I believe if we really focus on long-term maintenance, there'll be plenty of work to fill the hours and save the town in the long run. To fund the position, we need approximately $11,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year. Possible funding could come from some of the fund balance. There's a line item for temporary highway help budget and a portion of the project manager's fund, which is now trending to leave a substantial amount unused. And then you all have this document. I kind of went off the top of my head of all of the projects that need to be done, and they're fairly substantial. Going back to the schoolhouse, one of the recommendations right off the bat is to shore up things like broken windows and open gaping holes and those kinds of things. Tom Martin has volunteered to do some of that, but it also may very well require additional help in some kind of awkward setup there. And things like removing all of the windows from inside the school, and any other debris that's in there that needs to be removed. can be the kind of project that this individual can do. And not in addition to the routine projects that we have here, transfer station, the tire corral needs to be rebuilt. And, you know, you can just kind of read through this, and if you look at the major projects, schoolhouse winterizing, cleanup, we got to cut a hole in the garage, get heat into the water area. We need a new tire corral for the transfer station. There's been talk about painting this room, garage door maintenance at the garage, which is in sad shape, floor refinishing at town hall, vent cleaning at town hall, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a proposal we have on the table, which is from my discussion with Nathan, who I think is a good candidate.
Is 2 days a week meaning 16 hours?
Yeah.
Or 2 actual days? And he won't work anything less?
I think it's difficult for him. We can ask.
Doesn't he work now?
Yeah, he does. He's doing two things. He's starting his own business, which he's trying to ramp up. And so his commitment to the town is important. So that, you know, he's very conscientious individual. He's not going to let these things overlap. And I think he would like to leave the hardware store. And so the math in his mind, coupled with the jobs that he has, is capable and the knowledge that he can do was 16 hours a week.
So what were you thinking of paying him per hour? I mean, I think I personally need a lot more information. How much were you gonna pay him an hour?
$23.
How much?
23.
$23 an hour.
What other information?
Well, what is his background? I thought he was a painter. What is his qualifications?
Yeah, he's a painter. He's a floor restorer.
Mhm.
I guess the similar qualifications that Bernard might have,
Mhm.
but I think will do a more capable job. This includes snow plowing, by the way,
Right.
shoveling, roof raking.
So what I'd like to see is, how much did we pay and do we have any breakdown of what we paid that guy that came, for plowing? Did you have a
The
contract?
one that
with him?
nobody liked, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to I like to formulate these things in my mind instead of just saying yes. That's all. That's how I work. So
Well, that's fine.
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I need more information. That's all.
So the $23 an hour, would that also be him driving the town truck and plowing and salting and
Shovel.
shoveling?
Mhm.
Do you know how much we paid for plowing last year?
He paid 55 or 60 a time. He didn't come very often.
No.
I would say, I don't think it was more than 300 or 400 for that season.
So is this just until like June? Or is this moving forever?
No, I think we would probably want to do it until June and then reevaluate it. I think there's enough jobs certainly enough jobs.
Well, then we have to be something in the budget. So we have to make a decision with that. These are just questions I have,
That's fine.
is this moving up? I didn't know, I know we have a ton of stuff right now. What happens when that ton of stuff goes away? I mean, it's not that we won't always have something. So would it kind of be as if, say, like in June, he's done a lot of it, or next fall and his business is taking off, would he be willing to go back to 1 hour a week for us? Those are the questions I have in my mind. I personally, at this point, I know we need someone, but I don't know if I am willing to go 2 days a week moving forward with a new hire.
Okay.
That's my feeling. I know, and one of the problems is not enough people volunteer anymore to do anything.
And we didn't do the trash too.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
pretty much everything.
Mhm.
Fire alarms, fire extinguishers, fire alarms, they come and do that themselves, the company has to do that one.
Unless I burn.
So, salt in the town hall is something that's really, yeah, it's hard work, just getting the bags to the town hall from the stores.
I mean, the
I mean, I
events they
understand
covered the
that,
snow for 6 years that I know of.
But after we finish a few projects, I don't see why we,
Well, I mean,
I guess I'm still thinking.
okay, that's fine. I gotta move forward with trying to find the snow blower, though. Because that's been $3 fast, and the demand is.
Well, what do you guys feel like? I shouldn't be the only one talking. I mean, do you have thoughts about this? We need a snowplow, we need somebody. We absolutely need someone. Whether we need someone 2 days a week all year round, I'm not sure. That's what I'm thinking in my head, that's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I think one of the possibilities is to do this just through June. The other possibility is to see if 1 day a week is, something that he can handle. So we can get those questions answered. And they're volunteers, so
I think the biggest problem is when it comes to winter, you have the plowing and the shoveling. And once you start putting in 4 to 5 hours doing that, plus helping the town crew, you've already burned up a day. So you can't, do the other. It almost comes down to 2 days a week.
that was my feeling as well. When you consider
But that's if it's a snowstorm.
during the winter
Right.
months.
I mean, if you say 1 day a week plus if there's a storm, I'm fine with that.
Mhm. Okay.
I mean, we had, I want to say probably 8 snowstorms. 3 were good storms, 8 inches or better.
Mhm.
Other than that,
That was a pretty
But
light.
it's more than that, it's more than plowing. It's, you get, Vermont, it snows every night. And you need to clean off the town hall, we rent it, you need to clean off the library thing because the public's there and then town employees come in here, so that has to be done constantly, it seems like.
Yep. So those are the 2 questions I can ask and see what he has to say. On the other hand, I don't want to wait too long to security. Well, so if this falls apart, it's really, it would be nice to have a backup plan.
I have no problem with 2 days for a while, like till June 30th, and revisit it. Because I know all these things. Of course, it's not gonna fix the tire corral. in the middle of the winter, but he could paint the building inside.
Mhm.
It hasn't been painted since we moved in 2007. You know, those could be winter projects. And once he gets some of these projects done, if we could revisit it,
Sure. Yeah, you know,
maybe we find we do need them, need them.
mhm. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think that that's, you know, that's really reasonable. And the other thing that could happen with a guy like this, you know, when you're dealing with younger people, it's gonna happen. His business could take off,
Right.
and he could say, you know, I gotta go. But we want to have a commitment up to that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hyde Park's looking for one too.
Are they?
Yeah. The town manager is putting in doors and
He's putting in doors.
new doorknobs. and
Well,
doors.
I gotta go fix the transfer station. Somebody ran into the posts up there and knocked them.
Yeah, I saw that. How do you fix that?
Put it in post.
So you got the town truck to pull it up.
No, it's great. It's great if you do that.
Yeah. So is the rest of you comfortable with, going forward with this until, June and revisit, see how it works with the plowing handyman, because we're kind of have no one. And I know it's really hard. Hyde Park can't even get anyone to clean their offices,
Yeah,
and they can't get anyone to be their handyman.
So you're saying June 1st? Try and do
June
June
3rd.
1st. Very good, okay.
End of fiscal year.
at the end of the fiscal year, which is the perfect time to revisit it.
I don't see a problem with it. Is what you're saying, it would be about 11,000 total? I don't see.
Do you guys need a budget for it now for town meeting day?
We do. No, we won't budget it now. I think we'll have a discussion, and working on the budget and see how it's working. But until we know how it's working, we can't decide.
It would at least give you 3 to 4 months to see how it works.
Get through the winter, which is where the big concern is.
Yes,
And that is with him driving our truck.
Yeah, you're gonna have
We
a bigger drug test.
Yeah, so we have to outfit the small truck.
he has to be drug tested for the little truck.
Yeah, it's because it's a town. You can't drive any town equipment, I don't think.
I'll check.
I thought it was whether you needed a CDL.
I did.
Maybe, yeah, if you don't mind
It
checking.
has to do with the CDL, I think. Because we've had other people drive that little truck.
Linda,
Well, that was a long time ago. I didn't drive this one. I drove the one that got burned up.
But Todd used to plow for us, he
He did.
didn't have a CDL.
Yep.
okay, okay, that's important.
Would this come out of this, 34,000 we have in building maintenance fund? Usually it's building maintenance and building maintenance man is all built
Built
in.
in, yeah,
I don't know, how much is it? You think it's 11,000
yeah,
to the end of June?
Yeah.
Or the end,
the fiscal year.
okay.
So one of the things that the conference that we have is talking about employee sustainability. In other words, how are towns in the future going to run when all of our older generation gets done and retires and there's nobody coming up who wants the jobs.
That's called the state of Vermont.
And even the state is having problems.
Yeah, I see.
So it's quite a concern.
State's a constant. If you go look at every 6 months in the state website, they'll have everyone moved all over the place in the same department. Because they keep people, because they leave the state for a better job in the private sector. They get someone in for a while.
Apparently, the Vermont Department of Taxes is a great place to work.
Do we have, did we make a motion? It's getting late.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I'm done here. Okay, I'll make a motion that we will hire Nathan. Is he have a last name? Nathan, as the Wolcott handyman plowing winter maintenance person for 16 hours a week, starting now until June 30th, where we'll revisit it. Kurt has a list of suggested duties, which will probably grow.
Yeah.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Sandra for one time.
Okay, so the 1-ton truck will be used, we haven't bought for it currently. There's a new engine, it's been ordered through the garage. And then a sander, so we can sand the parking lots, and both here and 15. So the quote is the one that's available is the Holly, which is 9,623. And looking at the equipment budget, we got 77,000. We have 50,000 committed. That's for the 2 Caterpillar pieces. And that leaves 27,000.
How much?
27.
And we don't need that money to start building up for our other payments coming up.
No, our next payment is going to come up. It's going to be February.
For 32.
And do we need this 27 for it?
And you have 62 in there now.
We have 62,000 and we're going to
Take out 32 for the grader. That payment is in, February. We are putting 38.5 or 39, whatever, in November, 1,000 from the taxes. You know how each year we put in the 77, so 38.5. And then your first payment for your truck is not going to be until the following September. So there's nothing more coming out.
But there'll be, so our year starts July 1st. So in September, we'll have a truck,
But we won't, yes.
a grader.
No, not the grader, just the excavator. And that excavator's 18,000 and then whatever the truck is. Each
Right.
payment.
Yeah.
So when's the grader's all done?
No.
No, it's always in February. The grader's always in February.
But it's in the same calendar year.
Yes.
So we have 75,000 right now or something, 77. It goes in, so how many?
So you got 62, you're putting 77 in.
Yeah.
You now have to take out 32. to the end of June. And then starting in July, you'll have 3 payments. One will be 32, one will be 18, and whatever the truck is. Because you're not buying a trailer out of that because you put money
Right.
from the fund balance for the trailer.
Right. Yeah, so I think the bottom line, at least if I understand, 77,000 and there's 50,000. There's 77,000 for this fiscal year and there's 50,000 committed against that.
That is correct.
Okay. Just making sure. So
yes,
we have that amount of money in the equipment fund.
Yes.
My concern was I thought that the trailer was coming out of the equipment fund too.
No, but it's in the other side.
Yes. Thoughts? Questions?
You only got the one quote for this?
Yeah, they're kind of tough to find. We can go out and try to get other quotes. The aluminum ones are just not, or the stainless steel ones are just not non-existent right now.
Back order. In other words, you can put in an order for one BOA.
This is another situation where it's kind of a bird in the hand. I don't know.
Kind of a what?
Bird in the hand. Bird in the hand.
And this is the standard, correct?
Huh?
This is the standard for the lot.
No, it's a standard. Well, we already have.
So I have a friend and he had to go all the way to New Hampshire to get
I'm not quite understanding. You have one is poly, then you have another is stainless steel.
Mhm.
So you're getting both or
Oh, no,
the option of one?
It's the optional one.
Oh. I thought it was spending 19,000.
Yeah, the way this quote is written up, it looks like it's both of them.
Right.
one sign, one.
That's why I was giving you the second degree.
96.94.
And which one is the highway department recommending?
The poly. One for 9,623.
And is that because it'll last longer or is it because it's more
It's
likely?
lighter.
So for the truck,
Right.
yeah.
As long as they don't crush it.
Well, let's hope not.
You never know, running a payload, what you can do.
Well, you'd have to hit something really bad.
Okay, so, are people feeling in favor of this? If we're gonna hire a handyman, he needs to be able to do something.
And could he, if they can't get to the, parking lot over there, is that something that can be done by this truck too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're talking about, yeah. The one next to where the bus is parked. Yeah. If we could
Because a
move
lot of
that,
times, sometimes the
If we
road
could
doesn't
move-
have time.
move that bus or figure out who owns it, that'd be.
It's RCT.
Is it really? They're just letting.
No, there isn't a bus there, it's gone.
Was it gone?
It's gone, and it wasn't theirs, was it?
I
No,
thought it was white and.
no, yeah, I did too, but it was, I believe, well, it's not there.
No.
I don't want to start.
Oh, the commuter one. then.
It's not there anymore. It's, the parking lot was empty of vehicles.
Cool.
And for the winter, yeah.
So do we want to have a motion? To buy sander, spreader? Or not?
I'll make the motion, we buy the poly printer.
Okay,
I'll second.
any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so carried.
So that would change the cost.
Yes. I misunderstood you.
Yeah. It was a misleading one.
Will the span have to be broken up more to be able to understand that?
Needed to.
So it's just about $10,000.
Vermont, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative recognition.
So I was contacted by this group, Vermont Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It really, their mission is if you have towns in Vermont commit to, in writing, to inclusion and condemn all discrimination as a town policy. And I'm just wondering if this is something that should go to the planning committee. If it fits with the planning committee rather than the select board. There's about 27 towns who have already done this. And you can still, the first one we have here, the Declaration of Inclusion, is just kind of the boilerplate they give you. If you want to do this, great. But then if you look at other towns like Middlebury and South Burlington, they decided to elaborate on it even more.
Do they make it a policy or do they put it in their town plan?
I would think it would be in the town.
So so the Regional Planning Commission has a separate committee that has been working for like a year and a half on creating this diversity and equity impact. And they just created a toolkit too. And so, yeah, I mean, it's part of the planning. Regional Planning Commission, we could ask them,
Ask.
our planning commission.
Yeah, take it over.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, yeah. I think it's their charge.
Oh, this is Jim.
oh. Yes, yeah,
I just overheard you talking about that. Well, I'm not even sure what it is, but yes, LCPC did come to us at our last planning commission meeting, asking us what our feelings were for including the language that they wanted to put into the town plan about equality and diversity and whatnot. And it wasn't a binding thing that they were asking for. They were just looking for our opinions of it, and we responded affirmatively with it. And that's all they were looking for.
I think we were looking for something a little bit more maybe to work on. Is that what this is?
Yeah. And Jim, I can send you samples of, what a couple of other towns have done. They've expanded a little bit on it. And I don't know is LCPC working with the Vermont Diversity Initiative?
No,
They're not.
they spent a whole year having speakers just come in, different speakers speaking to them, so they knew how to craft a policy, an inclusion statement.
I think whatever inclusion statement that the planning committee decides on would be sufficient to
Right.
hand over these folks.
However, they want to handle it, how deep they want to get into it or not.
I mean, if you look at the one from Sudbury,
They're pretty straightforward here.
it's straightforward. I mean, that wouldn't be an issue with like the one from Middlebury to South Burlington. It's just so in depth and entailed. It's just, you're not gonna discriminate against anyone.
Right.
Basic, that's all you need to state. That was just, we just had one and just change it to.
Yeah, and the super generic one is this first one. But if we
Or
could-
they can go and look at the one the regional planning commission just.
Yeah,
right.
adopted.
So I guess the question is, can we ask the planning committee to take charge on this?
Yes.
So this is separate from the town plan, because what they were referring to us was that as when we redo the town plan in a couple of years, that they would include language with it, because LCPC always works with us on it. We go through the town plan basically line by line. And it sounded like they were going to have the training themselves to insert language as needed.
Okay, and this is a little bit different. Because it's something that this organization is looking for in the near term, not in 2 years from now. Maybe what I can do is at your next meeting, I can have them represent, if that's okay with you.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I'll organize it.
Yep, just get a hold of me so I can include it on the agenda.
Okay,
So we generally meet the first Tuesday of the month.
first Tuesday. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We already have completed the request for the driveway permit. The correspondence, community barbecue review.
It was a success.
It was exhausting.
It was.
Need more volunteers. More volunteers. If I'm not leaving it again without more volunteers.
I did have, we have leftover buns and hot dogs, and I know that the litter committee is going to be having a cleanup.
October, yeah.
Yes, I wondered, Deb mentioned, and I'm in total agreement with it, that maybe we could get some sloppy joes or some chili and use the buns and the hamburger rolls and hot dog rolls.
Whatever, they're in there.
Yep, okay, just wanted to.
Yeah, we'll get volunteers to bring a crock pot of, chili and for sloppy joes, yeah. That's October
Good news,
23rd.
Circle.
Yeah, now the other things, there was some donations and there also is some, I think the hot dog buns are still open, right?
So the hot dog buns were supposed to be paid for by the library.
Oh,
The hamburger rolls aren't.
I thought I was paying for something.
Yeah, the hamburger rolls, if you didn't get, we need to kind of figure out what we spent. Has she billed us yet, Sally? Sally paid for that, so we need to wait, find out.
I think the library paid for it all, she had the library.
Oh, but she was supposed to then, she said she paid for it all and bill us. We'll need to touch base with her.
Okay. Oh,
We did get $170 in
$170,
donations.
and then we did sell some of the hot dogs for $24, so I have $194.
And Pat gave,
$35.
$35 donation. So, we had to pay for the corn, $117.
$180.
Oh, and we had to pay for the signs. And the one at the transfer station is missing.
Yeah.
Someone took it for target practice, I'm sure. How it could disappear in front of the thing, I don't know. But, I think the signs were access.
Yes.
I think people this year were more interested in eating than in viewing.
They
There were a
actually,
lot of people, I think they had a good time.
yeah, they loved the performance by the ballet. That was really a big thing. And the clown.
He was exhausted too.
And the Mennonites showed up.
Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah.
great.
I did talk to the Slice of Earth Mennonites and they very much enjoyed it.
So I think overall, I mean, it was well, it went well, we just need, people need to be able to be relieved of, some of their duties, not having to do. They don't get to participate either, so we need some volunteers that will. It was great that we, had the Army help set up the tents.
Yeah.
And it's on my list, I will make up a thank you that we'll send out to people.
The man that was here just signed up one of our young people to go away. Ashley Richard Gravelson. I saw the pictures on the internet. They're all very hot. I love you.
The other thing I think which really contributed to the was the new principal.
He was fantastic. He got the students out there to give out these flyers and little brochures and tell about their
So he
school.
got his parents to come, you know, so that really.
See, I miss all that, because I'm running. I didn't get to
Yeah,
see.
so he was an all-star.
He looked in his truck and was like, where am I at? Okay, some Texas. So he's healing nicely, the bear, just so you know.
All right, we're almost done, town office meeting and organizing. I guess town employees want to cancel the 23rd.
Because we don't need to be here.
Yeah. Well, it might have to be later in the year.
We need a boss.
Yeah.
Because we've kept all this time, we probably keep it longer.
The one thing that I wanted to quickly bring up that we missed was that LCPC has agreed to take on the brownfield investigation of that lot. We just got notice of that. You know, they have to put out an RFP for an engineer or something, but
Doesn't cost us.
no.
You just gotta do a couple core samples.
Yeah,
Check.
yeah, you know, so Champlain Oil is enthusiastic about selling it. Now, it's gotta come down to decent. There's some negotiating to be done here.
You mean they don't want to give it to us?
I think you want to get it off there, why?
Yeah.
Well, I would think there's much stuff being taxed. We haven't gotten to that stage.
You got much. What did he say?
They wanted 20,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
That area there.
It's always good. Start high because you can go
It's
down.
not even a quarter of an acre. Is it?
No.
0.63 or 0.39.
0.39 brownfield.
Oh, yeah, the tanks are still in there, right?
No, it's just a concrete
Yeah.
pad. It's gonna be removed eventually.
Do we have anything else to add?
I did
If not, we'll entertain a motion.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
So we're joining us. 8:05 p.m.